I will say like this year's NAB, Black Magic just like completely knocked it out the park. Like they just came out swinging, man, just swinging. I when I saw the Pixis and even like their 17K, the new IMAX sensor, I was pretty stoked about it. Um, the Pixis was interesting. I feel like Black Magic kind of has this thing where they'll like easily cannibalize older cameras. And like if you've seen the new cameras, they look different from like their older like 4.6K 6K broadcast cameras. Like so it feels like they're really leaning into like Gen 5 super new maybe not super new sensors because I think the sensor in the Pixis is kind of old, but like new like hardware systems and all that. So it's cool, but at the same time, I would hate to be like they when the 12K released, the 4.6K G2 and the 4.6K before that, like they weren't really around for very long. Um, and they don't do firmware updates to those cameras. They don't service them. So like the 6K Pro and like the snout DSLR shaped cameras are still being serviced and still updated. But like if you're like me and you're on that like 4.6K system, then you're kind of being left behind, you know? And so I hope that they don't do that with maybe, I don't know if you're still recording on like the 6K or the Pocket, like any of the Pocket cameras.
Yeah.
They don't like
Yeah.
just completely take all their eggs out of that basket and put it into this new like kind of system, this new Gen 5 camera system, you know?
Yeah.
Or even the 12K, you know, with the 12K being sort of what seems like the last of the more rounder shaped cameras and these new Pixis and the new 12K and the 17K being like just a little bit, I heard they're a little bit heavier. They look a little bit more like sharper corners and all that. They just look like new cameras, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it just
Yeah.
feels like a new era for Black Magic, which is cool, but at the same time, like I feel like Black Magic, they're known for quality control issues
Hmm.
and leaving older cameras behind very easily. So I just hope that that's not going to be the case. I hope that the older cameras, if they get left behind, which they probably will, it's like a slow leaving behind and not like an immediate like door shut.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And I
from
feel
what
like
I've seen, they look great. They look, I
yeah,
mean, they look amazing, man.
yeah. And I think the Black Magic, I think overall has been great to their customers. So I can't imagine them just
Mm-hmm.
completely cutting off old
Mm-hmm.
users. I mean, the fact that they still give DaVinci Resolve in their cameras still is, I think, still, I don't know, that's really cool. But the
Mm-hmm.
4K, I still shoot on that here and there. Actually got it back
Mm-hmm.
here. But that, yeah, that body design, I do not feel bad about them leaving that design back. I am all for this box style, as of everybody, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
the Pixis 6K, um, when I seen that, I mean, it really excited me because, well, one, it's the full frame, and from what I understand, I could be wrong. I don't know if you know. I thought I heard it's the same sensor from the 6K Pro or 6K. The 6K and 6K Pro, the same sensor, right? One just has, or no, the 6K Pro is the full frame, right? With
The 6K Pro is still Super 35, and I believe the 6K, the regular 6K, is also Super 35. I hear the sensor in the Pixis is like the same as the one in the Panasonic S1H. Like, it's a specific sensor, but it's been used
mm,
in a couple of different cameras in the past. So it's nothing new. I think that's what I'm hearing. That's a lot of people's biggest gripe with it, and like lack of internal ND. But I
yeah.
mean, people are like also got to realize you're getting like a box camera for 3,000 with an
Oh,
SDI, like a 12
yeah.
gig SDI. You know what I mean? Like
It's
that's
amazing.
that's pretty big. That's pretty big, and it comes in
It.
the mounts. I think I wish someone would just make a L to EF V and D mount. There's only one
Mm,
variable ND amount, and that's like an L to PL.
yeah.
So the main thing is like just getting NDs and avoiding the step up, step down ring
Oh
variable
gosh.
NDs on the
Yeah.
outside of the sensor, you know, like getting one in between the mount and the lens is ideal. But the only way you can do that with the Pixis, unfortunately, is to buy an L mount, convert all your lenses to PL, and get the L to PL V and D adapter. That's the only way, because there isn't a EF V and D adapter that's like EF to EF or something like that, which is impossible. But like, there's nothing like that exists. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
you have to
So
go like short mount to big mount, I guess, and
yeah,
V and D it that way.
it adds another whole layer to. I mean, in this world at this state with as many cameras as we have and options, like it just adds one more layer of complexity. Is that a word?
Complexity, yeah.
Complexity to your decision making when it comes to buying a camera, especially if you're just starting out too, trying to figure out which path you want to go, especially when it comes down to lenses. But I guess I'm going to run over some of the specs on the Pixis right now while we're talking about it, in case anyone missed it, which I'm sure you haven't. It's been the talk of, I think it's the highlight of NAB right now is the Pixis. So I mean, we already covered 6K. I mean, we covered that, and it'll do up to, is it 36 frames per second at 6K open gate, which
big deal.
That's what really, that right there, that line just kind of hyped me up on it. And then it'll do 60 at 6048 by 2520, which is a 2:4:1 ratio, 60 FPS at 4096 4K DCI. It'll do up to 100 frames in Super 16, which I don't know if I personally would use that much, but
I wouldn't use Super 16.
Yeah, so I don't know.
On anything. It's way too, like, it's just way too cropped in. Like,
yeah,
everything's just going to look fuzzy and soft. It's just not.
Yeah. And then one thing Blackmagic has always had that I thought was always really cool is the frame grab, the photo button. I mean, they're not a photo camera, but it definitely helps when it comes to references or just grabbing a thumbnail, or when you have the setup. I mean, if you're ever doing YouTube videos or managing YouTube videos for clients, you can just grab a photo there. It's high quality. And this, with the sensor, will capture 24.6 megapixels in every frame, which I think is pretty awesome. Because
it's going to be
4K is 8 megapixels, right?
8 megapixels?
4K, 8 megapixels is 4K, I believe. I believe that's
no. Well, megapixels are just like it's like, I don't think it has anything to do with resolution. It makes it sharper, but like, megapixels is just like a however million pixels. The like 4K is like, if it's like UHD, I think it's like 3000 by like 2000 something. I forget the actual numbers. And then like DCI is like 4000 by something.
4096 by 2160. It's DCI. Yeah, I thought I don't know. I know there was something to do with 8 megapixels. I don't know if that's the minimum or I don't know. But
yeah, that's what you meant. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
I don't either. I thought I heard that a while back that like 8 megapixels is the minimum to get a 4K. I don't know, or its equivalent. I have no idea. That's a photo world. We don't do photos.
Yeah, no.
So, and it comes in. We covered it a little bit. PL, L, and EF, and one of the biggest. Tim, for me, I think the biggest. I think you already said this. The biggest feature I think of this camera is its price point and what you get.
Yeah.
And the PL mount is the most expensive at $3,195, and then it's $299. Was it $2,995 for the other mounts? Which, that's, I don't know. I mean, would you buy this camera? I know you're in the Blackmagic ecosystem. You like the Blackmagic system. You're in DaVinci.
Yeah. It being a full frame and with open gate is enticing. When I saw that, the only camera I thought that really is competing against it within a similar price point would be like the Zcam F6. And I kind of have been contemplating that because I used to shoot on Zcam. The image out of it's amazing, but it does not have a low pass filter. It doesn't have an OLPF, and the Pixis does as an OLPF. So personally,
what's on the top Zcam of priced at?
The F6. So there's the F6 Pro, which is like 4,000, which is like an upgraded F6. But if you just get the regular E2 F6, I believe it's around 3,000 to 2,500. You can get it used for less. It's gone down in price recently. But if I could see myself getting the Pixis, only as a replacement for my Ursa 4.6K. Since the Pixis is 6K with open gate, full frame, with an SDI and an OLPF, all I need to do is just get that like L to PL for VNDs, and I'm pretty much set.
Yeah.
So I could see myself getting that camera. My only thing is like, okay, then what would I use it for? It wouldn't be like a gimbal camera because I mean I have my S5 2X for that. I think it would just be more of a production camera. Um, and maybe I'll just have like two L to PL mounts, or like have an L to EF, which I already have for like my usual lenses, and then have an L to PL with the VND adapter for like cinema lenses and stuff like that. So I could see myself using it. I just love the fact that it has an SDI and an OPF. Like those two things really sell me on it. And I like have this thing where like a true cinema camera needs to have for like an SDI, an OPF, and 12-bit or higher codecs. Like if it has those three, it's got me sold. And I'll deal with like VND or ND workarounds. I'll deal with all that. But at least if you give me a 12-bit codec, an SDI, and an OPF, if you give me at least like two of those, like I'm pretty sold on it. So
Yeah.
it being at the price point it's at, yeah, I could see myself getting it. I will say this though, like my biggest gripe, I feel like everyone is making a big fuss about the lack of ND, and I
Mhm.
understand that, but my biggest gripe is this direction Blackmagic is going with their new cameras only shooting in B-roll and that's it. I don't think it has any other codecs. It only has B-roll, and like I feel like that started with the 12K. 12K only shot in B-roll, and then the Pocket full frame came out. It's not called Pocket, but like the full frame came out that only shoots in B-roll, and now like I think the three cameras are 17K, the new 12K, and the Pixis. I think they all also shoot in B-roll. So it limits, I feel like, the use case for it, because at that point you almost really only use it for like indie filmmaking or just filmmaking in general, and not like if a client asks for like I don't know, ProRes or something,
Mhm.
like something general like 265, 264 ProRes. You can't really offer that. You say B-roll and they're like, I don't even know
Yeah.
what that is. You know, like I
Yeah.
don't really know what that is.
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't like. Maybe they have heard of it, but they still don't quite know what it is. Like unless they have an editor that knows how to edit in B-roll, like it's kind of gonna be a hard sell. You know,
It is,
so you
yeah,
almost need
it
to
is
have like
different.
a ProRes camera as a backup.
It's very
And
niche in wanting B-roll,
yeah,
really.
yeah, and a
Um,
lot of people were saying this is going to be like the Komodo killer, like the red Komodo killer. Um, and I don't know, the fact that the Komodo has like the best raw on the market and ProRes, like I think that still is going to be what keeps it in business. Just the fact that it has
that's
ProRes and it's red, you know.
yeah. Well, I've talked to you about this. I've been in the market looking at a red. I've been looking at a Komodo X, and I've been thinking about buying one this year. And when I seen this camera, I did reconsider. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could talk for a while, like my process of bouncing back and forth here, but
Mm-hmm.
I was like, the Komodo X is like $11,000 after tax.
Yeah.
How many Pixases can you buy at that? And
Yeah, that's a good point.
that's that's what I
How
was
many
thinking. I
cars can you buy with that?
yeah. So I was like, I do a lot of multicam stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's useful for me to have multiple cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking, I wonder, like, as a business, would I be better off with multiple matching full frame 6K cameras that are capable of open gate?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds awesome
That
and super
that
useful.
sounds realistic because you're gonna have social deliveries, you know. So
Yeah.
like that, it just makes sense. Yeah.
Like from a business standpoint, it almost makes more sense to even just buy two of those and then get a lens. You could buy two
Mm-hmm.
Pixases and get some sort of set of lenses for those.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I guess for context, where I'm coming from an FX6 and the Sony background, so my issue, and I know I've talked to you about this a lot, Josh, is
Mm-hmm.
leaving full frame to go
Mm-hmm.
to something like a Komodo. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm putting image quality above everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's top tier. I don't care what I have to lose or things I got to fight with to get the best
Mm-hmm.
quality.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of subjective at this point. What's the best quality? What's the best image? It is kind of opinionated, but like you said, the red raw is that's really the only thing that is still the most important thing why I would even go red over black magic right now is literally just the raw codec. Everything else I would much rather have in the Pixis. I even think I prefer the Pixis body over the Komodo. I think. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't shot with them. I don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been back and forth on how I feel about the screen on the side, which does not flip out, which I wondered that at first.
Mm-hmm.
And Black Magic, I seen someone said that Black Magic said the reason they didn't make it flip out is because it would make the camera wider. It'd be a little more fatter. So I just put it, which I don't know. I don't know how much that would have mattered. I don't think people probably wouldn't have cared if it flipped out, but
I
I,
kind of, I feel like it works even if it doesn't flip out because it's a big enough screen and like it just makes you have the need to use a 7-inch monitor for it
yeah.
because you're
Well,
not going to
wait,
be shooting
Josh,
it
how are you
without
going to
that
vlog
7
on it?
inch.
You can't vlog on it. It's a bad camera. But no.
No, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
But
like
yeah.
you can just, if you're a solo operator and you get a 7-inch, you can just peek right down, check your settings, touch it, whatever,
Yeah.
and then get back to shooting.
Yeah. And honestly, like for me, I find myself a lot sitting beside my camera. Like I do a lot of just talking head,
Mhm.
interviews. And most time I am sitting right beside my camera. And I do usually have an arm with my monitor just sitting right to the side of my FX6 and I'm sitting there looking at it, most of the time. So like I think I'd roll with it. Even I'd probably bring a monitor with me in case I needed it.
Mhm.
But for the most part, for interviews, I'd probably be fine with just the screen on the side. I love the compactness of that, just having it all right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I don't know if I'm gonna buy it. I want to try it because
Mhm.
um, I'm a huge fan of Black Magic and I love the idea. I think Black Magic Raw is probably the closest raw experience besides Red you can get out there, right? I mean,
Yeah. I would probably say so that or maybe even like Cinema DNG if you want to go down the
oh
Sigma FP route.
yeah,
But
I
I
was gonna
hear that
say.
those file sizes are like humongous. Like I feel like
Mhm.
when it comes to like beefy 12-bit codecs and file sizes, like there's ProRes 444, which can get pretty like ProRes 422 HQ, which is still 10-bit, I think, like rivals, if not beats Red Raw, even at like LQ. Like the data
Mm.
rates are just still bigger in ProRes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Black Magic, the B Raw, it's decent. I wish that there was like a upgrade to make it like 14-bit or something, like and still compressed. I just personally want more bit depth because I'm at the point now
Mm.
where 12-bit, I'm beginning to feel the limitations of it, you know? And I know like it gets decoded to 16-bit linear and resolve, but I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even know what that means because
I was gonna
when I
ask. I was gonna ask you
grade,
because I don't understand.
I have no clue. When I grade Canon RAW and I grade B RAW, like
Mhm.
it feels like B RAW is just a slighter bit more robust, but not dramatically. When you hear the jump from like 12-bit to 16-bit, you're like, oh, that's a lot of bits. But then when you hear
Yeah.
linear, you're like, well, what's the difference between linear and like I guess like true 16-bit or nonlinear or whatever. So I don't know what that
Yeah.
means. I don't know what that and more importantly, I don't know what it looks like. I could care less about what it means. I
Mhm.
want to know what it like how that
Yeah.
practically plays out in the edit.
Exactly. Yeah. And I feel like
But I
Blackmagic
mean,
Raw, I've handled it, from the 4K, and then when you brought is it the Ursa G2?
yeah.
So it is. Yeah. That
Yeah.
footage, like Blackmagic Raw, I love. I mean, I prefer it over, any other regular log format, an H.264,
Mhm.
H.265, but
Mhm.
obviously, but it seems like the colors there, but it does feel like when you really try to push certain things in different directions or try to turn a different direction, it seems a little
Mhm.
brittle in that way. And that's
Yeah,
something
I
where,
noticed that with the curves. Have you noticed that with
yeah,
curves also? Yeah.
yeah, like if I really want to, really take a certain color and push it a certain way. Like I'm isolating, and I'm in Premiere. I know I'm probably gonna get a bunch of crap in the comments. I'm editing Blackmagic Raw in Premiere, but I take the dropper, and this is probably maybe this is all in Premiere. Maybe DaVinci it's not even works this way. But like if I take and try to isolate skin tones, using the HLS sliders, that's where I notice some of the breakage, and that's usually where I see a lot of things break that I use. But when I edited Red Raw, that changed my mind on everything. That's what really just.
None of the curves, like whenever you would play with the curves, like the hue versus loom and the hue versus satin and all that. I don't know if they're named the same thing in Premiere, but like whenever you would play with those curves, you would like just toss them all over the place and it wouldn't break.
Oh yeah, like I mean, it looked awful. I mean, there was some. I mean, it would break very little. But I mean, there was nothing left of the image. I was just playing with it because I was like, S curving it up and down, jagged stuff. It looked awful, but I was just amazed at like the beating it was taking of me just tearing it up, and it was still holding. That's what really sold me. And then I don't know if you've ever like drastically changed white balance before in Blackmagic Raw. I feel like it changed. Like if you go from like 32 Kelvin, you accidentally left it at that when you shot, but then you change it to 56 or 7,000. It'll change the white balance better than any. If you were to stick a slider in any other camera in a regular format. I say regular, whatever, not a raw, but there's still some color shifts going on in that the way it was captured. Whether it's skin tones in some way, I remember always fighting with that because I'm always bad at focusing on one thing, and I've been doing I'm always everywhere when I have my smaller sets. So, I'm doing the lights, audio, and I'll forget to set the white balance or something like that. That's something where I would want Red Raw just to know I'm always undestructive. But I don't know. Maybe Blackmagic Raw, it handles different DaVinci. Maybe I need to use it in DaVinci more. But I'm mostly on Sony anyway now. But there's something else I wanted to say about that. I don't remember what.
About the Raw.
About that, I don't remember, but yeah, it's a fascinating camera. I kind of want to buy one. Autofocus was something too, I mean, I know I don't. Yeah. The Red's not known for autofocus, but the Komodo has it. At least has it.
Yeah, and the Komodo X has it like even better. From what I hear.
Exactly. That was another reason why I was even considering it because like I don't wouldn't count on it for moving shots or anything like crazy, but for just sitting talking head on a tripod, whether someone's leaning back or whatever, like if you could handle that. And as far as I understand, the any Blackmagic cameras don't have a continuous autofocus, do they?
No.
Just like a focus
and if they
point.
did, it wouldn't be worth it. Wouldn't be worth using.
Yeah, and that's
anything autofocus, regardless if they have it or not, in Blackmagic cameras, it's just not. It's not.
Yeah, no, and that's what I've always loved about them. That's why I wanted the 4K because I was like, it's a cinema camera. It's a video centered camera to force you to think in that way, and that excited me. But I made a mistake buying those shooting weddings, but that was. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who do that, but it was just a mistake on my end. I was like, I had two Blackmagics and all manual lenses, and I was like, what am I doing? But yeah. Anyways, that's the Pixis. That I think is the highlight. I think the Pixis and Blackmagic stole NAB. It's just that camera alone because it's interesting.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll get one. Maybe I won't. But the VND autofocus and what else was? Yeah, and I don't know. I wanted to ask. Do you think there'll be a pro version of the Pixis?
I hope so. I think it's going to be hard because the only thing the pro version would probably add is internal NDs, and that's it. If not, maybe more frame rate options. But I mean, like the Pixis are pretty well off as it is. But it's going to be hard because. So the thing is, Blackmagic did with the 6K Pro. They put NDs, internal NDs, and a EF, sensor. So there might be a Pro that's just only EF mount and it has internal NDs. But if you want a Pro with PL mount with internal NDs, I don't know. That might be possible because I think the flange distance between EF and PL is similar. So it might be easy to fit like a ND tray or something electronic in there. But if they're going to stick to L mount, I think that's the biggest like challenge there. And I say that because L mount there I don't think there's been a Panasonic camera that's L mount with internal NDs. But, because there's been Sony cameras that's, Sony E with internal NDs. There's been RF cameras like the Canon C70 that has internal NDs, right? And you're
Mhm.
talking about cameras that have like short flange distances when it comes to the mount and the sensor. So sticking an ND in there is hard, but it's possible. But then there's L mount. L mount is similar to E and RF, where the mount is hugging the sensor super close, but I don't think there's been an L mount camera to put NDs in between that sensor and the mount. So either Panasonic has to develop something, which to be fair, I remember seeing some blueprints somewhere where Panasonic was developing an ND system. I don't know what happened to that, but I remember seeing that blueprint somewhere online, and hopefully maybe Panasonic comes out with like a, I don't know, like a S1H Mark II or like a S1 Mark II or like EVA 2
Hmm.
or something like that. But
I would like to see the
it
EVA
has
come
to be
back.
in the works. I hope it's in the works. But if Blackmagic and or Panasonic, get into a partnership where they develop a internal ND L mount system, I think at that point, like with Panasonic's autofocus and with Blackmagic going to L mount and being part of that like Sigma like a Panasonic L mount alliance, if there comes out a Pro and that Blackmagic Pro has that Pixis Pro has 6K open gate with better S5 Mark II X autofocus, which I'm shooting on that right now, and that has pretty good autofocus. But if the Pixis comes out with an internal ND system for L mount on top of having great autofocus from the S5 Mark II cameras, and that's your pro, great autofocus, L mount ND,
Oh
SDI,
man.
OLPF, box style camera, then that's like you might as well forget about Sony and Canon because like you get so close to what is the FX6,
Yeah.
but in like a $3,000 body, and you get even closer to the C70, but it's still
Hmm.
cheaper, but it's still in a box style
Yeah.
body. So if they come out with a Pro and it just
Man.
has all that, then like they're gonna Blackmagic and or Panasonic is like gonna if they haven't already shook up the market, they're gonna like cause earthquakes with that.
Oh gosh, yeah. Like I wouldn't. When I was thinking Pro, I didn't even think if they were to add autofocus. They had autofocus this thing, and it's good. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's to me that'd be more game changing than almost the camera itself. Just Blackmagic having
Mm-hmm.
autofocus. But
Dude,
yeah,
yeah.
that if they were to add a Pro version, I don't know what else they could add other than the variable ND or some kind of internal
Mm-hmm.
ND
Mm-hmm.
at all. I would like to see full XLR ports on the camera. That was
True,
something I
true.
seen. There's none on that. There is a 3.5, which
There's a mini XLR. There's only one.
oh, you're right. You're right. There's mini
There's
XLR.
I think it's on the front too.
It is, which is weird to me, like right up under the lens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at least that's there. Have you ever used mini XLR?
I have back when I owned the C70, I did.
Yeah.
I as I'm like growing and like just filming more things, either run a gun or just in controlled environments, audio is like becoming painfully more important, like good audio and conveniently easy to use audio.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the XLRs, the mini XLR, like the full size XLRs on the 4.6K and even the mini XLRs on like the 6K Pro. Honestly, any XLR, whether it be mini or full, I'd appreciate, because it's just like you get the best the best audio at that
Yeah.
point.
I would
And
take
you add a 3.5 mil jack on top of that, like you got me,
I assume, I don't know, but I assume you can do two channels on the Blackmagic. I haven't heard anybody talk about that. If you run the mini XLR, can you use the 3.5? Can you run a lav and a boom
Uh
into the same?
you can both on the 6K Pro and on the 4.6K, you can
Okay.
select one channel to
You're
be
right.
XLR1, another channel to
Yeah.
be XLR2, or
So
you
we're gonna
can
assume.
select line in on one, that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I assume you can.
you
Because
can.
then I forgot
Yeah.
that you brought that up on my 4K. I could do that. So it had mini XLR. I can run that in on your left or right channel, split it in that way. So I
Mhm.
hope it can. But yeah, I totally forgot I had the mini XLR. I'm glad you said that because I
Mhm.
was like, it didn't have an XLR, but it did have the mini.
Mhm.
I mean, I take the mini XLR over a 3.5 if I had to choose.
Mhm.
Um, it's just weird. I guess does it keep the body small? Is that the point? I mean, it's just I don't know what the point is of mini XLR. Is just to keep the footprint
I,
small on the
I
body.
I I think so. Yeah.
That's the only I
Um.
can think of.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. Well,
Like kind of
I
meeting in
don't.
the middle, small
Yeah,
footprint, good audio.
I don't know what else I'd add to a pro version other than ND built-in ND,
Hmm.
maybe full XLR, but I am
Hmm.
fine with the mini.
I don't know why more people don't like. So you know how the old DSMC2 models are red. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but they
Hmm.
used to have these add-ons where it kind of like it will like kind of make it there would be like this triangular shape, right? Like it will just be like this kind of breakout on the back, and they have like SDI and XLR and all that. Um, I wish
Oh, I
you
know
know what I'm
some
talking
now.
about. It's hard to explain, but in the pro version, I would hope that either on the left side or on the right side, towards the back. I think even like the Canon C500 and C300 Mark III does this, where on the back there's this little kind of curved out breakout where you have additional like XLR, mini or full, and
Yeah,
SDI. You know what I mean? So maybe in the
yeah,
pro version they can add like a smaller breakout where it's just full size XLR on the back and like gain and audio options and things like that. You know?
yeah. I wonder if they would add. I don't remember what the back of the Pixis look like. I'm gonna look at the. Do you think they would ever add like a little backpack thing that would go on the back to either change it into V-Lock and add more ports? I don't know if that's possible or not. I don't remember what the back of
Uh,
the camera looked like.
I'm sure there could be like a if someone like wooden camera or like mid 49 or something made like a electronic
Yeah,
NPF to VLOC thing
yeah. I'm
that
sure
can
somebody
also
will make
screw in the
that.
back.
Yeah.
Sure, like maybe.
Well, I'm looking at the back now. I don't think something like that would work because it would cover it would cover like everything. You have the SDI,
Oh, see, yeah.
the
See,
cards, you have the card
that's where
ports.
that breakout thing would help.
Yeah, if that would have broke out on the side,
Yeah,
it adds more modularity to
yep,
for
yep.
third party and first party. But yeah,
Hmm.
oh, it is CFast Express. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Oh,
Man,
yeah,
I
that's new.
headphone jack. I remember back when that used to be a thing. People always wanted on cameras and they didn't come in. I think everything has a headphone jack nowadays. But
Hmm.
do you remember? I remembered what I wanted to say earlier. Do you remember back when? I don't know if you had Blackmagic before Blackmagic RAW was a thing. When I first got the 4K, Blackmagic RAW didn't exist. It was Cinema DNG.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I never
I was
had one, but I do remember that.
I was I think I only had it for like a week before Blackmagic Raw came out. I can't quite remember,
Hmm.
but I know I didn't. I know I did not get to film my project in Cinema DNG, but I was like trying to learn it. I remember being so confused, but it was massive. When Blackmagic Raw came out, they took Cinema DNG out entirely. And I remember being so excited about that. That was just random fun fact. I remember there was a time before Blackmagic Raw with Blackmagic cameras, but um, yeah, I don't know what else I'd add to a pro version of a Pixis. It's almost there. It's almost. But yeah, then the price
Hmm.
starts creeping up if you add, B&D. I still would pay, even if it's a $4,000. What would $1,000 extra give you? I think I'd still consider it at that. Yeah, but then when you start walking into like FX6 territory, then your really trade off is just Blackmagic, color science, and B-raw, and then Sony would
And
have,
just better audio on the body and not
yeah.
like a
I mean, yeah, and then
yeah,
the FX6 has, great autofocus, so you're kind of in that
yeah,
territory that you're competing with that. But
yeah.
I guess it comes down to what you're doing and what your lenses are. But yeah, well, I think that's really it to say about the Pixis. It's exciting. I might get one. I might not. I don't know.
Yeah, if they just put like the sensor of the Lumix S52X and the processor, you would still get the 6K open gate, but you would get it with great phase detect
Oh
autofocus.
gosh, that'd be
And if
amazing.
they just like develop a ND thing between with L mount, then yeah, it'd be
I
massive.
would. I'd probably leave my FX6 for that.
Be massive because that's what's
Yeah.
everyone been that's everyone's main ask now. Before it was like the box shape from
Mhm.
Blackmagic, so now it's just like autofocus. And now here's the thing, like with Panasonic adding firmware updates making their autofocus better, and if they would share that with Blackmagic, if Blackmagic would come out with like future broadcast cameras and future like kind of prosumer Ursas with, that autofocus, all of a sudden now you just have like Sony and Canon having to put a lot more effort into competing with Blackmagic now, because now we're
Yeah.
making like production ready, broadcast ready cinema cameras with very usable autofocus. And Canon, I'm sure maybe we'll talk about them, but they've been just quiet. They've been
Yeah.
silent, man.
Yeah. I don't
So
know if that's a good thing or they're coming back. They're gonna come out swinging out of nowhere. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's But so there's also, and I feel like you have been interested in the new 12K that they've announced, which I
The seven oh sorry, go ahead.
did they announced the new 12K too, right? And the 17K.
They did. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I was gonna make
You're right.
sure. For some reason, I was making sure I got that right. But yeah, I didn't look too much into these. I feel like these cameras really aren't targeted toward me. I find them fascinating, but the Blackmagic 12K, which have you ever shot in the original set 12K?
I've not.
Because I heard bad things about. I heard bad things about the 12K resolution. That was it. I mean, the camera itself, what I heard was decent, but I don't know.
So, um, I this is where like we get into like the quality control thing.
Yeah.
Um, well, maybe not quite a quality control thing, but I had my boss. He had bought a 12 gig for a project recently. And when I say recently, I think like a year or two ago. And it like died on him
Oh
like
God.
not too long after he bought it. And I think it was because maybe he just like on the 12K, even in the 4.6K, you can change out the native V mount to like a gold mount or whatever. And I
Mm-hmm.
believe he was changing his out to be a native V mount for the camera. And maybe he just connected things wrong, but it ended up never turning
Okay.
on again. He had to send it
Okay.
back and get a refund and that whole thing. So,
Well, at least
like,
they refunded him.
yeah, that's good. But it kind of brings up a point that I remember even seeing old YouTube videos like, a year or two ago where I was watching this guy named, I think his name is YMC Imaging or something like that.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
talking about like the Pocket 6K. It was like one of the Pockets. He just talked about how it just straight up died on him like out of nowhere.
I
And then when the
heard horror
6K,
stories about the pockets. Yeah.
dude, yeah, even when the 6K Pro first came out, it had like a blue screen, blue tint issue or something
Yep.
like that.
I
So it
remember
just makes
that.
me wonder, like, okay, like even with the Pixis, the 17K, the 12K, like, are there going to be a bunch of bugs when these cameras drop? Like that's
Yeah.
something to consider because Blackmagic kind of has a track record of always having super
They
buggy
do.
cameras. Now
They
they
do.
patch them out in firmwares, which is great,
Yeah.
but you don't want to be paying like 3,000, 12K,
No.
12,000, 17, whatever, for these cameras just for them to bug out and
No. No.
like
No.
be
Yeah.
dang near unusable. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that these cameras are close to bulletproof when they first come out. And that you aren't just spending copious amounts of money that you can buy like 3, 4, 5 cars with, and the
Yes.
camera is like barely usable because it just keeps locking up or freezing or whatever,
Yeah. I
So,
hope, and I don't. I think they know this season for Blackmagic is pretty pivotal.
yeah,
Pivotal.
yeah, yeah.
Where it seems super important because if this Pixis comes out and flops for any reason like that, or there's a lot of bad
Mhm,
stories, I think that's really going to hurt where they're at. People are going to lose.
mhm,
People have a lot of faith and hope right now in this new line of cameras, and
mhm,
I think they're really looking forward to that. But the 12K, I don't know. I didn't know anything about the old 12K. I don't know if you do, but I don't know
The
what's
only thing
different in
I
the
know
new one.
about it, so the frame rates, there's a lot of frame rates. There's a lot more frame rates. In the new one, the old one, I think the 6K was like the more limited
Mm-hmm.
resolution in the old one. I think it like either cropped in or something like that, which I really hated to hear that because I would rather use 6K over like 8K or beyond that for like most things.
Yeah.
So hearing that that's like the one that crops in and it's already a Super 35 sensor is like not what you want to hear. But I hear that a lot of that stuff is improved upon on the 12K. You got more frame rates options. You
Yeah.
have I think you have a heavier body on top of that.
It's a
I
whole new
don't
sensor
know
too, right?
if I
Oh,
believe so. I believe
I
so.
see.
The
Introduced new large format RGBW
Oh,
36
that's
by
right. It's full
24
frame
image
too.
sensor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the original one wasn't.
It was not. It was Super 35.
Okay, then that's big. So yeah, this is full frame, with larger photo sites and incredible
Is
dynamic
there
range. You
is
can
there like a
swap.
new native ISO thing?
That I don't know about. I don't because I really knew the 12K original was kind of a blind spot for me. I really didn't know much about that. But
Mm-hmm.
this, I don't know if the old one had this, but this is swappable between EFPL and LPL. Is that just L mount? Or is it LPL?
LPL is
Is that
lock,
just
positive
PL?
lock.
So it's
It's
this
PL. It's like
locking PL.
locking
Okay, that
PL.
makes
Yeah.
sense. I just seen that. I was like, wait. So that's cool. It's swappable though. Like you yourself can swap
Mm-hmm.
that. It can shoot open gate as well. I love this leading into open gate stuff. And you got 4K, 8K, and 12K, which I like to have those options. I don't know if the other one was like locked. Were you locked into 12K? I don't know.
No, you weren't. You can shoot in other resolutions,
And you
but
can do
you
super.
couldn't go as high in frame rate as those in
Uh,
those lower resolutions. Only
yeah,
unless you went to like 1080 or something like that, 4K or 1080. But
yeah.
now
I've
there's
never.
like 4K, 240, and like I don't know, like 1080, 300 or 500 or something.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe not
it,
500, but
it'll do Super 35 and 9K, which is pretty cool. I think.
nice.
Yeah, the 100 frames in 12, up to 100 FPS in 12K, and that is it's was it 17 by 9. I don't know if is that open gate. 100
No,
FPS. I don't know. So
no.
I wonder what the max. I don't have that here. The max frame rate in open gate you can shoot on that. I don't know, but
If
100.
it's 3x2, it's probably going to be open gate. That typically is the open gate aspect ratio 3x2.
Oh yeah, that's yeah because math equations, numbers throw me off. But the yeah, so I don't see anywhere what it can do up to in open gate. But
Okay.
it can do 120 frames in 12K 241, 144 at 8,192 by 5,036 or 5,360, 180 FPS and 8,192 by 3,408, 224 FPS and 8,192 by 3,408. I don't know what those resolutions are. The math that's still you're still over 4K at 224, right? 224 frames.
What's
And then
the resolution thing? Is 3000 by something? What?
so on the 224 frames is 8,192 by 3,408. So that is
That's 8K. That's it.
yeah, 8K at 224 frames.
That's
And I
insane.
still
That's
believe it's all
insane.
full frame. I believe it's
That's
full
insane.
frame. And then the
That's
the
insane.
photo frame grab we were just talking about, 100
Yeah.
megapixels every time you push that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's dude. That dude. That's like I can't
That's
even put into words like how crazy that is.
that is, and that's where we do. And my
That's like a huge print. It's like a huge 100 megapixels, dude.
yeah,
100 mega. That's like you can get decent sized prints and crop in super far in
oh
on
yeah,
like the A7 IV from Sony, which is like 30 something megapixels, but like 100 megapixels, especially on a full frame camera, you're like, you can see like mini hairs on people's eyebrows with
oh
that.
it's insane. Yeah, so and it also depends where the print's going, how far you are, because I think billboards
True,
people use like
true.
12 megapixels fine, but my fiance business partner Caitlin, she would love to talk about this because she is
Hmm.
all about megapixels. So like what we would do
Mm-hmm.
for our clients, being able to just grab 100 megapixels and and create content or print material out of that. When it comes to marketing material, that's pretty cool to have that much information. Where she does a lot of masking and photoshopping, so having that many megapixels, being able to punch in and like remove things, and having that much where the like the feathering, like where you take something out, there's just more pieces. I don't know. That's really cool to me. And then it says up to 80 f. Okay, so up to 80 FPS in Blackmagic Raw. I imagine that is probably the 12K open gate. I was not pretty clear with my notes here, and one thing that I thought was really unique about this is it has its own media module. Did you see this?
No.
So it has its own. Yeah.
Ooh.
So it has its own proprietary media module. I don't think you have to use it. I think it's optional, but maybe you have to use that to shoot 12K at OpenGate. I don't know, but it's an 8 terabyte, like looks like a magazine, like looks like you're loading a gun up, like a magazine slides on the side. It looks pretty cool. And yeah, it says that 8 terabytes at 12K, you'll be able to shoot for 4 hours in 12K, rolling continuous, and 20 hours in 4K. But the module itself, 8 terabytes, is actually cheaper than I thought. Still expensive. It's $1,695 for one of those. And I believe there's I don't know if you have to buy a reader for it. That I'm not sure about. If it can just plug straight into your computer, or if that's another expense. I don't know. But I thought that was really interesting that it had its own. They called it a media module, and they only have, as far as I've seen, they only had the 8 terabytes. So I don't know if there's less or more or what there is, but they stressed that it's like safe, guaranteed, not gonna fail. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. So
yeah, when you were throwing high resolutions and high frame rates, I would assume you would need something proprietary. Like that makes sense. That makes sense, because I don't know if there's even anything that comes close to running 12K or 8K 240, right? Because like once you go like past 60 at high resolutions, like your data rates trying to keep a continuous bit rate going to supplement those high frame rates and not get dropped frames, like it's insane. Is that all in B-raw, I would assume?
I'm assuming. I don't know.
Do you know if the codecs are disclosed or not?
I'm assuming it's Blackmagic Raw, because I can't imagine them announcing all these specs under a different resolution that's not their own.
Yeah, there's no way it will be in ProRes either. It'd just be insane data, like unbelievable data. If it's
I don't know what the data rates are. I think they have on their website. I want to say they do have a graph. They have a graph somewhere that shows. I could be wrong. I'm looking. There it is. So full 12K open gate it's 12,288 by 8,040 at 24 frames. Uncompressed Blackmagic Raw is. I'm trying to make sure I'm reading this thing right. Is over 2,888 megabits a second. That's pretty insane. And then it goes down to 3 to 1 is 1,194. 8 to 1 is 448 megabits a second. 12 to 1 is 298 megabits a second. And then 15 to 1 is 199. And that's constant bit rate and constant quality. It's the highest is 1,432. But they have a really cool graph here that shows you the cap. You can punch in your resolution, your aspect ratio, and frame rate, and then your B-raw settings, and it'll give you an estimate of how much 1 terabyte would get you 2 terabytes. So it's cool they have that there, so you can see like, does this make sense for you data wise to even consider? You can kind of gauge that, that was my biggest question. I got here and I seen that they have this nice little layout there. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so you buying one?
It is very enticing, man. If I had the budget, I might buy it just to stick with like 6K. And I hope that the 6K doesn't like crop in and do all that weird stuff. So if they like downsample to, now 12K downsample to 6K would probably be unbelievably sharp. But I don't know. I'm a sharp person. I like sharper images. I'm a fan of the digital look because I always feel like you can soften it up and kind of soften it your way, and it's not just like soft as it is, and you're softening it up even more to where it just looks like low bit ratey. You know.
That's where I've learned that recently. Where I was talking to people with red is I used to hate red. I never liked red's image because I thought it was too sharp. It was too
Mm-hmm.
digital. But then I've learned if you talk to some experienced DPs, they will say you want the clear, sharpest sensor
Mm-hmm.
because you can pick the lenses and the look you want. That everything from the lighting, the lenses, and everything in front of that is what gives the look. But having a sensor that can capture it all is a good place to start. So I'm trying to see the price of this. It is the 12K. So I didn't notice this. I thought the EVF was old, but I guess it's a new one. So
Mm-hmm.
the 12K without the EVF, because they have bundles here, is 14,995. So about 15 grand for that. It looks like it comes with a little shoulder pad too. It's a nice little setup. Yeah, and then the I didn't even mention this, but the Blackmagic to Cloud is built in to this. Has which I think is really cool. And then it's 16,495 for the 12K with the EVF. Oh, so there it is. The Blackmagic Media dock for the media module, $1,995 just to be able to plug it into your computer. But I don't know if you need it. It says accelerate your post-production workflow by mounting. Oh, it's just network sharing, uploading to cloud. So it looks like it's more than just a card reader. And then the mounts there, 8 terabytes. I only see the 8 terabyte media module. I don't think they have. I'm sure they'll come out with smaller, maybe bigger too. I don't know. I mean, 8 terabytes is probably a good starting point if you're going to buy a camera like this that shoots that.
Dude, yeah. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I am actually more excited about not necessarily the camera itself, but what the camera is doing is the 17K, which I don't know. I mean,
So
you have any
that
more
one, I not on the 12K, but the 70K is one that has definitely caught my eye
Mhm.
because a while back I had asked myself like if I just had unlimited money, like what camera would I buy and want to just learn and like really own, you know? And I
Mhm.
just thought like if I had no like unlimited budget, no limits, it'd probably be the Alexa 65. But then as I researched that camera, I read something that like it's not sold anywhere because there's like a whole system that needs to come with it. Um, but I said the Alexa 65 because I'm a big fan of bigger sensors. I just feel like bigger sensors is like more akin to what we see and experience in reality because I feel like our eyes are always like on a wide angle, but at the same time, like it's always detailed. You know what I mean? So
Yes. Yeah.
I was when that 17K came out, I was like, oh, 65 millimeter sensor, like,
Yeah.
and specked out the
Oh
wazoo,
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm gonna have to make that like a savings goal. So,
Yeah. It's I don't think there's any price mentioned at it. I'm gonna guess this is gonna land if they
it has to
keep
be
it.
like 20,000 or
I was gonna say if it's
30,000.
under 20, I'm gonna be just amazed. I bet it's gonna be between 20 and 25,
Yeah.
somewhere in there. But yeah, because what they're doing, and Blackmagic says they're wanting, because Blackmagic, they said I don't remember who it was. Someone at Blackmagic was watching them talk. They said they're more of a production camera and a B cam in cinema. They're never
Mm.
like an A. There's not been
Hmm.
any big, um, big budget Hollywood films shot on Blackmagic yet. And they said
Well,
this is,
I would even go as far as to say that they're not even a B cam on Hollywood, only
yeah,
because like on docs,
yeah.
maybe you might see them, but then
I
Canon
mean,
kind of rules the documentary world. Like you'll see Canon either like Gotham Garage, that was like number one on Netflix a couple of months ago,
mhm.
like was C300s. You know, my wife and I we watched this one Gordon Ramsay show on Disney Plus where he goes around the world and competes with different chefs around the world and tries new cuisine. Those were shot on like I think C300 Mark twos,
Oh
no, not
yeah.
Mark twos, Mark threes,
I
or
mean,
C500s. So it's like
yeah.
Canon rules the dock world, and then Sony I feel like also is really good in the dock world. So
Yeah,
Black
Sony's.
Magic, kind of like you'll see a documentary shot on a Black Magic camera here and there, but there's mostly Sony or Canon. But
I
then
feel
when
like
it comes
they're.
to big blockbusters like the Creator, for example, like you see a lot of BTS of like Orange Sulfur in interviews and things like that. He's always talking about ProRes RAW and using that on the Sonys. And I'm just wondering, like, and the thing is like, in one interview, he said that he's used to editing in DaVinci, but they went with ProRes RAW and the Sony FX3 for the Creator. So it's like, even when the
Hmm,
DPs experience with DaVinci, they still go with ProRes RAW and Premiere and not B RAW and DaVinci. So it almost feels like
interesting.
Blackmagic is not competing well against Canon and Sony in the documentary space. And when it comes to the filmmaking space, they get passed up by ProRes and anything with ProRes RAW, So
Yeah.
they kind of just, I assume that they feel the need to just step up just in general,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
really bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, I've seen I know the 4Ks were used in Mad Max's crash cams. So maybe it's not B cam,
Mhm.
maybe they're C, D, E, and F,
Mhm.
an F
Mhm.
cam. It's last resort. But I've seen them used in that way. But I think Deadpool, they had them in some car shots too,
Mhm.
like interior cars. That's all I've ever heard is like if they're gonna crash a car, they'll put a Black Magic in there. But the um yeah, in the dock world too. I think Sony's big in there too. But I wonder how much that has to do with autofocus and docks. Docks. I feel like autofocus is really important when you're doing small, one man band crews. I've tried shooting some docks on some manual, well, even weddings. It's tough when you're by yourself. But I mean, that's the biggest thing why it steers me away from docks on Blackmagic is autofocus. But yeah, so 17K, they're saying they want this to be one of the first cameras that can actually step up on a Hollywood set and compete. And yeah, the 65 millimeter equivalent is going to be that. That's what's, I mean, not even the 17K necessarily. I'd probably be
Mhm.
interested in like a 4.6K or something, a 5K,
Mhm.
6K. I mean, just a 65 millimeter equivalent is what, I don't know. I love, like you said, the large format has really caught my eye.
Mhm.
It's I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to put into words, but you know it when you see it. Um, you said was it All Quiet on the Western Front? Have you seen that?
Mhm.
Beautiful. That's shot in a
Mhm.
large format, and that really showcases
Mhm.
like for me that film really showcases what large format can feel like, and that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm interested in this. I assume it runs off the same. It looks like the same modular um, media package, but there's not a lot of information on this out there because they announced it, but did they haven't shown anything really
Mhm.
other than quick specs, but 14 140.9 megapixels per image on there per still. Um, that's crazy. I'm trying to look up and see if there's anything more interesting. I don't. Although the built-in, no, let's say I thought I said, is it gonna have built-in ND? That'd be insane. I feel like a camera like that does not need built-in ND because people are gonna have, that's not gonna be if you have a camera like that on set, it's not a problem to add a matte box.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I have no idea. It's really interesting. I'm excited to see what the image look like that, and I'm excited to see if there's ever gonna be a film shot on that. Maybe we'll do it. Let's
Do
write
you
something
know?
now.
Do you know of what mounts it comes in?
I Let me see. I think it's probably I wonder if it's interchangeable. If it's the same as um I'm
Probably
not seeing
just
it looks
PL
like
and
I
that's
say
it.
it looks like PL on the photo, that's what I see, but I don't know if it says anywhere. Yeah, I'm just seeing the PL, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I would
Mhm.
assume only PL because how to like that's such a big sensor. And
Yeah,
the only mount I can think of that comes to mind is PL that would
have
that or maybe
glass.
Fuji X mount, but they're not powering with Fuji on that, so it really
Yeah,
would just be
and
PL.
I don't even know what lens options there are in X mount out there, but
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's I think that's those are the biggest highlights I think from NAB when it comes to the Blackmagic. Blackmagic is the highlight, I think. And then their
Hmm.
cameras. What else? Did they release anything else? Oh, the, what's it called? The micro color um, dock. What do you call it? Color pad. You know what I'm talking about?
Hmm. Yeah, I
What's
seen
that
that.
called? Yeah, that I want one of those so bad, and I don't edit in DaVinci. I started messing with it last night. By the way, I'm trying to get used to it. Yeah, but I would love to edit with one of these because I had the loop deck for a while. I edited on that,
Hmm.
and I loved that. I know it's different in Adobe, but yeah. So the DaVinci Resolve Micro Color Panel, I want that so bad. The micro's cool. $509.
That's not
That's,
bad.
no, and the little iPad slot, I really didn't care much for. But I'd heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard you can edit in Blackmagic on the iPad through the cloud from your home machine. Is that true, or did I just hear that? And it's not,
It's probably true
because
because
that is
I
pretty
haven't
wild.
done a whole lot of investigating into any of the cloud and all that. But my boss, he went to NAB super recently, and he had came back with like, newfound like desires of wanting to switch everything to Black Magic because
Yeah.
apparently there's a system that Blackmagic has where they have a server and it's compatible with their cameras to the degree of whenever you shoot
Hmm.
something on their cameras, it immediately uploads it to the server as you're shooting it, and you can edit it while it's being shot. So
Yeah, so that's the
that's cool.
integrated like Blackmagic to cloud. It's kind of like Atomos has a version of this you can add, and you can use Frame.io. I've played with it. I've dabbled in it. I've done some seminars on it too. I've never
Hmm.
actually worked on a professional project with it, and I assume
Hmm.
it's very similar to that. But I've heard the Blackmagic integration is like way more seamless. And yeah, I've seen that, and I think that would have been. I looked into that years ago when my company was in a different position, and I thought that would be something useful to use. Black Magic would just be a great way for any production company to invest in because they have, I mean, you can do their live production sets, the color paint. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know. They really got their bases covered with everything. But
Hmm.
that's what's so interesting to me is they still have this indie filmmaker, I don't want to say like low budget association to their brand, but their products don't even on paper and how they perform doesn't even land in that. They
Hmm.
outperform they outperform their demographic almost in a good way, and it's awesome.
Hmm.
Keep their values super high on other products. But other than that, I don't know if there's anything else Black Magic that I may have missed. But
Nah, man.
yeah, that's
I feel like we covered it pretty well. Covered it all.
yeah. And then I don't know if you've seen any lenses that were announced there.
I heard DZO had something. I heard that DZO had some lenses that they're trying to compete with the the new Zeiss and the new Cooks. Like they're going to be super
Mm,
expensive. Or sorry, the Taquina Vistas. Like they're kind of going to be on around that price
I
level.
okay. I've never shot on them, but I love the look of everything I've seen with Tokina Vistas. That would
Hmm.
be, if I had my dream budget lenses to own, probably doesn't make sense to own those, but or
Hmm.
at least for me it doesn't. I love the look of those Tokinas.
Hmm.
But that's interesting to see. The only things I seen was, well, I'd seen they were announced before NAB, but I guess they were there. Was the Zeiss Nano Primes, which I don't know if you've ever seen the
Yeah,
Zeiss Ultra,
they're a
the
bit
Zeiss Ultra
thicker,
Primes.
right? The Zeiss
I
Nano Primes are a bit thicker, aren't they? Or
Yeah,
maybe I'm just
yeah.
getting that wrong.
I glanced at them. I didn't see much on them, but they're supposed to be like a more affordable version of the Ultra Primes, which
Oh.
I've been a huge fan of. There's some shows I've seen that it looks really cool, like on large format shows. Shot in those lenses look awesome. I've been wanting to
Hmm.
rent them, but when I seen these, I thought I'll try these, see how they do. And then I also seen Laowa had. I don't know if you ever seen the Laowa Rangers.
The
Those
zooms.
the Cine Zooms.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm.
those. I thought about grabbing one of those. I think they have a 28 to 150. I think it would be a good. I think a Cine Zoom would be good to own one of those and then
Yeah.
rent your primes. But um, I was looking at those, but I seen these new Laowa Cine Zoom compact versions, and they're just Super 35 versions of the. They look like mini Rangers, but the size looked awesome. I was looking at them. I was like, man, I hope those are full frame, but they're not. They're Super 35. Um, They're smaller. They look awesome to have, which I could see a lot of maybe Komodo users grabbing some of those because that would be. I mean, it's super compact. I mean, I didn't get the weight or the dimensions, but having a small box body with a cine zoom like that would be pretty awesome. That's really it with all the lenses that I seen. There's not a whole lot there to say about those.
Yeah.
Let's see them, but the Deity booth had the new S Mic 3, which is a big deal for them. They had the S Mic 2 is what really set them off. I think Deity's only been around for like 6 years. I think I could be wrong. They're fairly new. So the S Mic 3 is their newest iteration of their newest shotgun microphone. And then they have the S Mic S, which is, as of now, they're stating it's the lightest, smallest XLR microphone in the world right now at 44 grams, which is 1.5 ounces. And then I seen something, the PR2 wireless system. I don't know a whole lot about them. I've never used them. There's a new version of them that has, the only feature I seen that was kind of stood out to me was, because I don't know what the old versions were, was you can tap into them with your phone and listen through your phone to monitor them, which I thought was interesting through Bluetooth. Thought that was weird. But other than that, the S Mark III I thought was pretty cool. I'd like to get my hands on that. I didn't see a price. I'd like to hear how that sounds against some of the Sennheiser. I'm a Sennheiser guy, but I'd love to hear the S mics. DJI, of course, was there. I don't know if you have anything to say about that. The RS4, it's a gimbal, you know.
So DJI, they've been releasing some new products. You know, the RS4. I think they released new DJI wireless mics not too long ago. They're 32-bit.
Yes.
And I think was it a new Follow Magic Fizz system? Didn't they release something like that? Like a new Magic Fizz system?
You talking about the wireless follow? Oh my gosh, the LiDAR system. This I've been excited to talk about this because I didn't want to mention it before. But imagine this LiDAR system with the Pixis 6K.
No.
Autofocus on manual lenses. To me, that's killer. It's like I think it's like $1,200. I could be wrong. It's not over it's under $2,000 for the LiDAR system. And I don't know if you've seen people using it. It looks like it's working great, and it also has face detect. It has face detect and this LiDAR system, and you can use manual lenses on it. I didn't want to mention this before until we got down to DJI, but to me, if I were to get a Pixis, I'm buying the LiDAR system with it. And I would love to, and I know people are going to be doing that, making that pair, because then you can get high quality cinema glass with autofocus at full frame open gate, and you don't have I don't know how it stacks up against Sony's autofocus, but it looks good enough. I mean, at least for me, for what I do, it's gonna be fine from what it looks like. It's just face detect, but yeah, that looks super freaking cool. The LiDAR autofocus system. I don't know what they're calling it. I don't know if it's just a LiDAR system.
LiDAR system. Probably.
Have you seen?
A little bit, not a whole lot. I keep every time I'm on social media, I keep seeing this guy who's like, there's this it's like this frame where he's on the top, and then this LiDAR system with this mica cine lens is on the bottom, and he's just I don't mean to point out the obvious or anything, but he's this Asian guy doing these hand things. You just hear the LiDAR system going back and forth. I keep seeing that ad over and over and over again, and whenever you talk about LiDAR, that's the one thing I think about. It's just this kid doing these weird hand things.
I haven't seen that.
The autofocus on the LiDAR system kind of being super accurate.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really think about LiDAR too much. But maybe I should.
To me, for me is I guess it goes back to when I bought my FX6. The Komodo had come out the same year, the OG Komodo. And I was going to buy that because they were very similar in price. Very similar. The only reason I went with the FX6 was, full frame was I wasn't totally on board with it because I never had a full frame video camera at the time. So it was autofocus that I needed it. I just needed it for a lot of the work I did. I was it just didn't make sense to make that harder on myself. And I had E-mount lenses. So I bought the FX6. But if there's something like this that existed at the time, this kind of changes everything. So I have it up right now. It is $1,000, $999 for the whole system, the handle and all, LiDAR system, autofocus. But you brought up a good point. I don't know how loud it is. If it's like, I haven't heard anybody complain about it, and people at NAB are using it, but like that's clearly a loud environment. Was it actually sound like? But I don't know. But I would love to grab that with the Pixis and see how that does. Having autofocus.
My main thing with these LiDAR systems is that, and maybe it's only because I haven't been doing a lot of research into them. I haven't seen a lot of videos of people testing them out in the field consistently. But all I've seen is ads and controlled environments. And you really got to be careful when you see someone testing out something in a controlled environment. Even when it comes to autofocus, right? You'll see people walk back and forth up to the camera and all that. And then you're going to be further away from a subject on a shoot and all that. That makes sense. But I feel like it's one of those things where if you're filming a wedding or if you're filming a doc, most of the time you have to worry about foreground elements moving in the way, kind of like my hand, moving in front of my face when my face is in focus and making sure the autofocus doesn't lose my face. You know what I mean? You have to worry about that. And same thing with this LiDAR thing. It's is this LiDAR thing going to focus on who I want it to focus on, or is it just going to focus on anything that it can focus on? You know what I mean? How's it going to actually help me as the operator when I'm not in a controlled environment where it's just me in front of a camera,
Yeah, weddings would probably be a tough thing to use. The original LiDAR system probably would have been a problem for sure in that way. This new one with the face detector can help a little bit. And the hand control, you're always in control of it too at the same time. And it also, you can hold it. It's kind of like a hold focus if something's coming by. But then again, you're adding more things. Yeah, like you said, a wedding, you're making it really complex almost to where
and could that be the thing that you were just talking about, the little hand thing? Could that be a side handle?
Yes.
If you're okay, all right, then that's good. That's
I
cool.
believe you have to have that. That's the one that to me it's kind of a con because the LiDAR system has to have this side handle with another screen on it. It's not huge.
Oh, interesting.
It looks like a nice handle, but yeah, I think it has to have that. It looks just like a Ronin handle, little scroll wheel on it. But I think that'd be awesome. And you can take over manual whenever you want. So while it's autofocus, you take control of it. And people explained that it has this feedback where it's wanting to pull towards something. There's a weight to the scroll where you feel it wanting to pull toward what it's supposed to be going after. And you let go, it'll I think that's kind of cool. But I don't know. I probably wouldn't for weddings and all, I wouldn't use that. But I would love to have it for corporate work. I mean, just something like that. Because I would love to just have all cine lenses. But autofocus has always been such a big deal, and it's expensive to get full frame E-mount lenses right now. But I don't know. But that to me, I really, really, really want to see that LiDAR system on a Pixis, and that excites me. That to me, if I were to buy the Pixis, I'm just going to go ahead and say it's a $4,000 camera because I would want that. And that gives it autofocus. But yeah, I don't know how that would do on the Pixis on a gimbal. I don't know. You'd mentioned that before. I don't know how well it would do.
It might be better because I feel like from what I've heard, comparing the Pixis to the FX6 is they're very similar body wise. So if the FX6 can fit on a gimbal, the Pixis might also fit on the gimbal pretty well.
It did remind me of the FX6.
Huh? You what?
The Pixis does remind me of the FX6 body when it's stripped down.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it might fit pretty well on a gimbal because it's just it's a box. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's evenly distributed for the most part, better than a Pocket 6K Pro, being a weird rectangle with a snout.
And that's with the LiDAR system in the Pixis, the only thing I would be missing out on is, well, obviously not the exact Sony quality of autofocus, but internal ND. So I would gain 6K in B-raw. I look at B-raw as a plus over internally. And I'm not including ProRes RAW external in the Atomos. I mean, I don't find myself using that much. I like the option of the FX6, but I don't know. that I thought was really cool. The lidar thing, and the Pixis are like my two highlights from this whole thing. I think are awesome. But yeah, is there anything else you've seen from DJI or anything you want to talk about?
Nah, man. The 32-bit float mics are interesting. Not because of 32-bit float, but just like improving upon like the wireless distance and the wireless strength. Like and just stronger
Yeah,
wireless strength, less interference. That's cool. 32-bit float I feel like it's a cool party trick, but it's not like
no,
something that I could see myself using a whole lot.
it's not a
Be,
need. I heard
no,
someone say
yeah,
crappy 32-bit float audio is still crappy audio if you capture it,
yeah, yeah,
So, but lavs is
exactly.
where I think it makes a lot of sense in a lav mic. You can't always monitor to
That's
have that
true.
flex.
That's true. Yeah.
And it sucks because every time I buy this stupid, I don't use lav mics often, but I like to have them. And when I use the wireless setup, I bought the Rode Wireless Go when it came out, and they came with the Go 2, and I was gonna get those. And then the DJI came out with those. I bought those, and now I have the DJI wireless set. Now they have the new 32-bit flow. It's like, man, I want them. It's for the option because they are better.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I like the original DJI set. They're nice, but 32-bit float is something I've always wanted in a lav because I think that's where it makes the most sense. It's where you can't monitor it or don't have easy access to monitor it in certain situations. But yeah. One thing that I seen I thought was cool. I don't know if you've seen the Core. They make batteries, V-Locks.
I
Core.
did see that they made a thing. I forget the name and all the details, but the main takeaway that I got from that was that it kind of eliminates the SDI protocol. Or are we talking about
Oh,
the same thing?
I
We
don't
may be talking about
know.
different things.
I don't know. Let me tell you what I was about to talk about. It's the Core
Mm-hmm.
Power Base Snap. They
Hmm.
stack. They're stackable. Is that what you're talking
Oh,
about?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We
Well,
might be
I'm
talking about two
curious.
different things. Just cool.
Well, this is just small. They're 49 watt hour V-Locks, compact,
Mm-hmm.
very core.
Mm-hmm.
They're magnetic. So you could take two 49-watt batteries, stick them together, and you got a 98-watt. So
Really?
yeah, and I don't remember how many,
Did
I think
they?
they said you could stack up to, I don't remember how many this is you can stack up. They know you can charge them with up to 8.
What?
Yeah, and they got a 9-pound magnet, so it's super strong. And you just stack on the battery. So you keep adding to them, which I think is really cool. And another cool thing about them is you can stack them all together, plug them in to charge them, and it'll charge up to 8 at the same time. But one thing it has a smart feature, I thought this was cool, is if they're all different percentages, it will charge all of them to the same. So like say the lowest is at like 20%, it'll charge them all to the same, or charge them all to the same amount and then charge them all at once together. I don't know
That's cool.
if that makes sense.
That's
Yeah.
smart.
But I like the idea of
That's cool.
building out the V-Lock, and I guess I would assume you could take one off and I assume you could hot swap them. I don't know how they eat the power. Does
I
the
would.
back one?
I mean, if they stack, then I would assume you could also hot swap.
Unless
Because
it's
if they
pulling power
stack and
from
you
the first
add
one
power,
and it's going back.
maybe.
That would be the only thing. Surely they thought of that. I think it'd be cool.
I have no idea. It seems really intuitive and really smart. And
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
To me, I thought that was really cool. And they're small. Like the idea
I
of starting
didn't I didn't hear about that. I didn't know about
Yeah.
that. I'll have to look
Called
into
the
that one.
Core Power Base, the Core Slim Power Base Edge Snap. Big name.
It's a
The
handful.
Core Snap better. Yeah. So what was it you were talking about? They released something that helps you.
I briefly glanced at it, but there was this like switcher that they had made or something that it like I don't know if it's like a surge protector or something, but you attach it and it just like it takes away the need to obey the SDI protocol,
Huh.
the last in first out thing.
Yeah.
So it was cool because I just thought about like the Pixis, the Red Komodo, like anything with a 12 gig SDI. If it doesn't have like a regulated power source, like the native V mount that you can get with the 4.6K, you're gonna have to obey that SDI protocol, or else if
Yeah.
you like always have the SDI in, and it's not grounded to a power source, and you plug a V mount in and you try to turn everything on, or even if you just add power, you can fry the port very
Yeah.
easily unless it's regulated. So, like, you don't have to do that anymore. Granted, this protocol is not like a big deal, but it is cool that you
Well,
don't have
people
to. It's
fry their
something less
ports.
to worry about.
Yeah, that's
It's just
cool.
something less to worry about. And the more you can have the cam op or the DP or whoever, like the more you can give the person operating the camera less to worry about, like
Yeah.
the more they'll love you, the better.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Especially like that's a big deal to fry a port. Like, yeah.
yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know
Yep.
about that. Yeah. Um, I thought, yeah, core. I had the core V-Lock battery for the 4K. It was like one of the first ones I mounted on the bottom. I thought it was so
Hmm.
cool. I used it all the time. I still have it. And then Atomos had the only thing I seen from them was their new Ninja phone. Did you see this at all?
Hmm.
It's the
Ninja
yeah, I
phone.
wasn't
Is it
really
an
interested in
app
it. I'm sure. I think it works off an app,
or
but
is it just a straight up a phone?
it's an app. It's a mount for your phone
Oh,
to
okay.
use your own phone on. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
At first, I thought like it was just they're like getting in the phones now, and I'm like,
No,
what?
I thought the same thing because they called it the Ninja phone. I thought the same thing. Yeah, but so it's a mount for your phone. It connects to your phone. It runs on mobile data, and it just allows you to record to your phone. And I think it also adds the that I was talking about earlier, the cloud frame. Where I think it's Frame.io is like what they use on that. But it only does it up to 1080p. They said 4K is coming later, and it's only on iPhone. And all it needs is USB-C. Supports camera to cloud. But yep, that was it. Interesting. Someone might find use in that. I don't know. I would prefer not to use my phone for that. I would rather just buy the module for the Atomos and just slap the antennas on, or buy the new Atomos Ninjas that actually do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess I don't. I mean, assuming it's cheap, that's something. I assume it's a. I didn't see the price on it, but I assume it's going to be affordable if you're just using your phone on that. Actually, I want to see if the price is out there on that, because I think it's probably important to mention. Because why would you choose that over $399? That's still pretty. Oh wait, it's USD euro. Yeah, it's still pretty expensive. I think I wouldn't pay that. 10-bit ProRes straight to you. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody will find it useful, I'm sure. And then another really cool thing was the Amaran lights. Did you see those? The Amaran light mats, inflatable light mats. Oh,
Okay. So Aperture, they did have like a big inflatable light. I
yep.
didn't know if you were referring to that.
Yes,
But
yes. So there's a brand, I can't remember their name. They're a European brand that I followed on, I think I found them on Instagram for years. They make inflatable lights, and I thought they were so cool. They're just big balloons that light up. And
is it Surrey?
no, it's
No,
a
they're
Surai.
Japanese. They're
Yeah,
Japanese,
I don't know
I
what
think.
this brand. I know that I couldn't find them anywhere to buy, and it was like I couldn't find any retailer to order them. It was I couldn't find it, but I was like, why is no one making these? Because the inflatable idea is such a good idea because you get such a large portable source. So Amarin has these light mats that air up like that. Look like little air mattresses, and I like how they vacuum down. They're so portable, but you almost have to look it up to see what they look like. But they have a 1x2 mat, a 1x4 mat, a 4x4, and a 20x20. And you can connect them all together too. So they all connect and they work off the app where you can do all kinds of cool things. They're RGB but 20x20. Sure, they're going to be
That
expensive.
is huge. Yeah, they're probably going to be 6,000.
I mean, I would love to have. I think the 4x4 would probably be the most useful. 1x2. I don't know. I'd probably like two 1x2s and one 1x4. That'd be my kit. But I thought those were really, really freaking cool. And then I didn't see anything else from them. Had you, Amaran? Not any of the lights?
No.
Yeah, that's about it. And then Tilta came out with some tripods. I didn't see anything that really made them unique. They're expensive. I think they came out 2 new ones, I believe, and they were over $1,000, I believe. Which, I mean, for a tripod,
Yeah,
worth it.
Small
And it's gonna
Rig,
last.
did they come out with something also?
Oh yeah,
From Potato Jet.
yes,
This guy, like
yes,
a
they did.
one
And that
like one hand. You can unlock all of the feet and all that, like some partnership, something like
Yes.
that.
Yep. It's the potato jet tripod. I don't know what the exact name is, but yeah, it has a handle and one trigger, and it just slides the legs out and comes out. Which Edelkrone released a I don't know if you've seen, Edelkrone released a robotic version of a I think it was expensive. It was a couple $1,000s for it. You place the tripod and it's got a robotic button. You just push it, and it like adjusts it electronically up and down. All the legs extend and come down. And then it auto levels. There's an auto level button where all the legs will just level itself. It's really cool. But that's what I thought of when I was like, why has no one made a manual version of that? That's kind of like off of like a release button. And that's what this is. This Potato Jet's small rig tripod that is one button. It looks super easy to use. I want something like that so bad because I hate fighting tripods, but I don't know how much it is, because I'd rather just go this is Sattler or
Satchler, yeah.
Satchler. Yeah. Well, their tripods. I'm going to spend $1,000 on a tripod. I'd rather go with one of theirs. They have all the all the locks on top, and I know a few people who've said that this, like, ever since they got those, they're the best tripods they ever got. I don't know how much this one is from Potato Jet. Do you know? Did you see a price at all?
No.
But let's see if I can find it. So I have this thing, like, I like Potato Jet, but I don't want my gear to say Potato Jet on it. I don't know if you've seen it. Is this Potato Jet real big down the leg? Have you? I mean, how do you feel about that? I don't know. I don't like I don't want.
I mean, if that's his branding, it is his thing, man.
I fully understand it.
I understand where you're coming from. I wouldn't want
like
that. I would want my name on it, like Gene Nagata, because that's his name.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Potato Jet looks goofier now. It says Potato Jet on, but because your clients like, what's Potato Jet? Is that a brand? But
what kind of brand is that?
Every time I have clients make the dad jokes whenever I have like a newer brand. Like, oh, is that the newer one? It's like every time. But the names, like, I will not buy the Peter McKinnon Polar Pro ND filters because it just has his name on. Nothing against him. Nothing against that. I don't want YouTube influencers all over my gear.
Yeah.
I just the products and nothing to do with that. I don't know. I guess I just wish it was just plain. I would rather not have brand names on anything, but not the world we live in. I know. But yeah, that thing looked really cool. I don't see a price on it though. I'm not seeing, because like that one, I'm curious of what that would cost, because I don't know what would make. I mean, and I also don't know the weight capacity on it. It looked pretty slim. Caleb Pike. Speaking of, that's a thing we're seeing now in this industry. Is a lot of these YouTubers and YouTube influencers in this industry are partnering with brands and creating products. I've seen a lot of that. Caleb Pike just released a new with in partnership with Small Rig, new V-Lock battery. Did you see that one?
Yes.
That one looks really cool.
Yeah, he's been innovating because he made a Cineback for Sony.
Oh, it looks so cool. Yeah,
it does. And I wish there was like a Cineback for like every mirrorless camera now.
I probably would have bought one if he had one.
That.
Yeah, if he had the A7 IV, I would have bought one.
So yeah, it's cool. So he's been doing some good innovative stuff. It almost makes me wish I could partner with brands too, because another guy, Cindy Dailies.
Yes.
He partnered with Mid 49, which is ran by the guy who I think made Wooden Camera. He partnered with them to make a cage for Ken Affinity.
I think I've seen that. Yeah. I don't know what goes into that. I'd be interested to see, because I have some ideas and some things I want to exist that don't exist, but I don't want to necessarily throw the ideas out there right now. Someone else could do it, but need to go get that patented. But yeah, actually, I do have one really cool idea I'd like to talk to you about. But actually, I've been talking a lot about, and I have no idea how to go about making it happen. But now here's me talking about it and not saying what it is, and someone's going to do it, and I'll be really mad. But yeah, so anything else, NAB, you've seen that I left off here? These were just some of the highlights that I found and just kind of jotted some notes.
There was So, are you familiar with Iron Glass? That company?
Yes, they make the housings for like the Helios, right? They right?
Yeah,
Yes.
they have a sister company. Um, I think their initials are OFG. Um, Iron. Yeah, I don't know. But they have like they have like another company that they have that they partner with. I don't even know how to explain it. So they made this cine back slash body for the Fuji GFX medium format camera,
Ooh.
or I forget. Fuji has a ton of GFX like medium format cameras, but like I guess their newest one, they had made this like super big, robust add-on for it. And it has like it's like a conglomeration of different companies' parts. So it has like an Atomos monitor, it has the Fuji camera, and it has another part from another company on it. But you have like SDI breakout, you have like the medium format sensor of the Fuji camera, um, and so it's just this really cool, innovative thing.
I'm trying to find
Um,
it. That sounds. What's it
yeah,
called?
I am going to search up on Instagram.
Yeah, because that sounds really cool. Fuji. I'll talk while you look on that. The Fuji has always made. Is it Fuji or Fujinon? What's the full? Is it Fujin?
I think
Fuji?
it's
I don't know.
Fuji.
Like
I think Fujinon's a
Fujifilm. That's what they.
lens.
I was like
Fujifilm
Fujinon
lens.
sounds familiar. Yeah. Um, Fuji's always made awesome cameras I want to use. I just haven't had any. I mean, I do this as a profession, so it's hard for me to like justify something I just want to try. It's
Hmm.
it's gotta make sense in the business. And Fuji's not really found a place in my work, but I want one. And the medium format one, the GFX, they're on like, isn't there a Mark II or something? Or I don't know.
Oh,
Ever
I was
since,
wrong. I was wrong. Sorry to
okay,
interrupt you. It
no, you're
wasn't
fine.
iron glass. It was old fast glass, and they have
Old.
a old fast glass, and they have a OFG customs. That's where it's on old fast glass. Their channel, or not their channel. Their Instagram. And so
Okay.
it's a GFX
Ooh.
102, the Fujifilm thing. Yeah, it has like an Atomos monitor. It has like a Zcam EVF. It has locking points all over the place. You got your SDI, you got your V mount, and it's basically like a more, I guess, professional cineback. Not that the cineback is unprofessional, but like it's just like a more cinema cineback. Like you just have points all over the place.
Whoa. Okay. It's the OFG Custom 65 rehoused FX6G. So does that monitor come with it, or is that part of this cine? I keep on calling it a cineback. That looks awesome, and it looks like it uses the Angelbird SSDs. You shoot onto SSDs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That looks awesome, and this looks
Oh,
amazing. Oh
yeah,
my!
it has a raw recorder, has like power distribution, a cooling system, EVF base plate handles. Like
This
it has
it,
everything.
so. Oh my gosh, how much is that? I know that Fuji GFX 100 is a.
It's only for rent. That whole entire thing, it's only for rent right now.
Dang
But
it!
who
They're
knows?
gonna
Maybe they
release it.
will
Because
release
that
it. Who?
GFX, the Mark, just looking at the Mark One right now is 3,103 used on Adorama. But the Mark Two, I don't know if it's Mark One or Mark Two, but I seen a film Philip Bloom made on that. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with Philip Bloom.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
love his stuff, but he did a film on the GFX, and I remember when I seen that, I seen the film first, and I was like, "What did he shoot this on?" Like, I want to know what this is. I looked this up. I was like, "What Fujifilm?" Fujifilm was, I think, I see why people love them. You know, people of Fujifilm, they love their Fujifilm. But I
Mhm.
do think overall it is an underestimated camera in the professional film world, especially when it comes to just the look you can get out of it. But that's awesome. That makes me, gosh, it's only for rent. So how does it, is it record raw externally? Is that what that does? 12-bit
I
ProRes raw
believe
recording,
so.
8K up to 30 FPS. Wow. I don't know the entire specs on the GFX, but 8K, and that is medium format, 65 millimeter format size sensor. Yeah. That might be a cheaper option to get into, you know, that kind of format without
Hmm.
that's so cool. Oh my gosh.
I believe you can also there's speed boosters for the Fuji mount. Now I don't know if sorry. I don't know if the GFX system, the medium format system, because it's such a big sensor, the Fuji mount will be like huge, and therefore you can't use what you use on like a APS-C like XT3. You can't use that same speed booster on the GFX, but I wonder like maybe you could, and you could just adapt everything to EF or PL, and you have like all these adapters and things like that for that GFX system, because there's already a couple of speed boosters and adapters out for Fuji X mount, but I don't know if that's going to be applicable to the medium format sensors because those are huge.
Yeah. I don't know. This is something to definitely keep our eyes on because this has got me so excited. I love that because I love the look of
Dude,
I
yeah.
love the look of that GFX and to have something like this kind of set up. And man, I seen the Atlas Mercuries on that. That'd be beautiful. Oh man. I like the buttons on the side. They just look very industrial. Oh, this is really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna keep my eye on that because I think that when it comes to the look of things, I wonder going 65 millimeter like equivalent for large format in that way would probably
Hmm.
change a lot of your look to stand out a lot better going that route
Hmm.
than it would be. I don't know. That's really cool. One side thing I did see back up in the audio section, Rode came out with their little Rode professional reporter mic.
Professional what?
What do you call it?
Reporter?
The Rode reporter, I think it is.
Rep- That's
Have you
actually
seen that?
called the Road Reporter.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Rode Reporter. Yeah, the Rode Reporter dynamic mic is what the original one's called. The new one, I don't know if they're calling it that or not, but yeah, the Rode Reporter mic.
That's
What's the
hilarious.
new one called? But a new one actually looked interesting. It's called the Rode Interview Pro. Then this new version of it. The Rode Reporter was their old one, but this actually looked. I mean, I don't think someone like me and you would use it too much. I like the
Hmm.
idea of using it for certain things here and there, but
Hmm.
it seems convenient and robust to throw in a bag to just pop up and just if you're doing event coverage, kind of
Road
pass that
Reporter.
mic back and forth. It is 32-bit float, rechargeable, records straight to it, and it also works with the Rode wireless receiver, so you can have it go straight to the camera as well too.
Nice.
I think it's gonna be a
Nice.
useful tool. We'll see around. It's more production, not so much cinema film, but
Hmm.
I
Correct.
guess
Yeah.
yeah. But it's cool. I think it would double as somebody could have that on their desk as like a podcast mic. It is a dynamic mic and take it out, use it to capture. I don't know. I think it's really cool. I wonder if you could have
Hmm.
two of those. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was interesting having 32-bit float and that and a dynamic mic that also records straight to itself and wirelessly transmits to the camera. It's kind of unique, but that was just one random little thing I seen that I get excited about those things. It's things that I get excited about seeing, but I have no idea if I have a use case for it at all,
Hmm.
even if I had it. But I want it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's all I know of. Is there anything else? Anything else?
I mean, other than gear, like I heard Orange Sulfur was there. He's a DP of The Creator and a couple of other films. I know he's probably sick and tired of hearing about The Creator because that's all he ever got interviewed for.
Yeah.
But he's just a younger guy. He's just a younger
Mhm.
guy. I think he's like 35 or younger ting that. DPing like big blockbuster films. So
Yeah.
I was fascinated to see him there because he's someone I've been keeping up with a lot on social media on Instagram. I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
Um,
I do too.
but yeah, he makes good stuff and he's also super young. And I think I just have an obsession with like younger guys who are making like awesome things because I kind of
Yeah.
want to be there in their shoes one day. Like
It's just
Carlo is like 25 and he's like filming like a lot of commercials and
yeah.
owns, maybe not owns, but like is paying off Sony Venice.
Mhm.
So it was just cool to see someone like that there at NAB. You know,
Yeah.
aside
I,
from all the other influencers and YouTubers, they're great to see. But actual seeing an actual like high level DP there was also
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. It's cool to see people. It's cool to see there's the new industry over the past decade or two that has emerged on YouTube, and then you got
Hmm.
the OG professionals in that industry in that world when they
Hmm.
start blending. It's really cool
Hmm.
to see.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
see. I don't know. DaVinci 19. DaVinci Resolver 19. I don't know what it all added, but that's something that was announced.
So I heard they added something cool with audio. Like something really cool with audio. But that's all I know.
Okay. So I know there's a lot of things. I'm not fully up to date on it. I'm not in DaVinci yet,
Hmm.
but I know Adobe announced a bunch of AI features. Pretty much
Yeah.
all their generative fill stuff
Yeah.
that is in Photoshop seems to be moving to Adobe. I don't know how practical it'd be. It would actually be useful right now with what I'm dealing with. Me and Josh just shot a music video here. Was that 2 weeks ago now? 3 weeks?
Yeah,
Probably, it's
just
been a
about,
minute.
yeah.
Well, there's an exit sign there, and I've been removing it in After Effects, and it's been tedious. It's taking way too long. And then I just seen Adobe release some of this like remove things with AI, and they just like circle it. And it's gone in the video. I'm like, wow, that'd be nice to have that right now. I don't know when it's coming out,
Yeah.
but yeah, that'd be useful. So I can see myself using that. I did see they could change people's clothes. I don't know how I feel about that. It's weird.
Like not just the color, but like the clothing itself.
Yeah. Yeah, they literally the
And
example they show is a guy wearing like a button up and they changed him into like a little suit and tie.
now here's the thing: is this like a locked off frame, like a camera that's just on a tripod? So this camera's moving, and
Yeah.
they changed it, and it's like keeping track of them. Wow,
Yes. Yeah, that's the
that's
mind blowing part of this whole thing. Now, I have a feeling when they release it, it's gonna be buggy, it's gonna be weird, people have issues, or it's not gonna be like the most perfect prompt. It's not gonna understand what you're saying. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation we could talk about another time, like AI and how
Mhm.
it's implemented into the industry, whether we like it or not. But yeah, I think some of those features look cool. The removal thing, like that, I'm all for. I would love to have that right
Mhm.
now. So many times I've had to remove something. So many times. There's one time I filmed I think it was just like an online seminar thing for a client. I'm trying to remember what it was. There was a mic. It was in like a classroom lobby. There's a microwave in the background. They wanted me to get rid of the microwave. And I was so new at the time, like, I don't know how to get rid of the microwave. It's there. So I like mask blurred the whole thing. And it just looked awful. It's like, you should just left the microwave. Oh, anyways. Yeah. AI. That's something new. A bunch of AI features in Adobe. I just seen some of it looked wild, but I'm curious to see how well it actually works. I don't know when it's being released. But I don't know of any other software stuff that was announced. Do you?
No, nope,
That's really, I know there's
nope.
a bunch we're probably missing, but I think those are at least the most exciting things we've seen on there. But yeah, the one thing I want to see, and I'm excited somebody's gonna do it. I want to see that Pixel 6K with the LiDAR autofocus. That's the one thing I'm excited. That's my highlight of coming out of NABs. I want to see those things together.
Yeah, I I just want to see more of that 65 millimeter
Oh yeah,
sensor from Blackmagic. I just want to see a whole lot of more of that because
yeah,
that's just the one thing I've been thinking about. It's just that that big sensor, man. So
Yes.
the Pixis is also something I'm looking at too. I'm kind of like, you know what? I wouldn't mind trading in my 4.6K for like that camera and just like either
Honest.
converting. But the main hiccup is just I wish someone would just make a L to EF VND adapter. Like there's an RF to EF VND adapter for Mica. There needs to be a L to EF VND adapter. If they made
So
that, I'd be on board.
is that the only thing holding you back from swapping your
Pretty
G2
much.
for
Pretty much. Yeah.
you against using like front NDs or matte boxes?
I'm not against it. I am against anything screw on, especially step up rings,
Oh, I hate
because
stepper.
I'm someone who like wants to use like I'll have a kit if I have a project. I'll have like a still lens kit, like an EF 24 to 105 or like a 16 to 35 for like social media. Um, but in my spare time when I'm practicing and doing stuff like that, like I want to use any lens, any and all lenses I have to just have fun with the cameras that I'm also using professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And step up rings and anything screw on that's not like a filter really takes the fun out of practicing with the camera in my spare time, which is just as important as using it for professional things.
That is
So
really true. Yes.
so I just don't like I dealt with this a lot when I first bought the S52X and going from like the C300 Mark III, sorry, not Mark, I wish the Mark III, the Mark II to the S52X. It's like, okay, now I have to go back to step up rings. Now I have to go back
Yeah.
to
I
like making sure I don't forget the one step up ring because if I do, I can't screw on the filter, you know.
mhm.
Whereas I didn't have to worry about that with internal ND filters because I could just use any lens I wanted, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And step up rings suck. They
Mm-hmm.
suck. If no one's used them, you're lucky. But yeah, I've had so many, especially weddings. I was like swapping lenses and swapping filters,
Yeah,
like in step up
yeah.
rings. And I had this bag, like little pouch of just step up rings and filters. Such a pain. Like grabbing the right one.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're in a hurry in a situation like specifically weddings, you're gonna scratch the lens, just trying to get it on.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
I got fed up and I ended up buying a filter for every single lens that I just had on it, which got
Yeah, that's
expensive. But
just
a lot of the
yeah.
time, I would have multiple cameras going at the same time. I would kind of needed them. But yeah, you could always just buy a filter for every lens.
Yeah. And that's just another thing. I'm just like, what's the most cost effective but also
Hmm.
convenient route to ND? And it's like
Yeah,
finding a adapter that has a variable ND inside of it. That's
it
really
really
it.
it
The
is.
Matbox thing, I don't mind, but it does have like nuanced complications because
Yeah,
it becomes hard to put a camera on the gimbal when you factor in a matte box, especially like bigger Polar Pro matte boxes where you
yeah,
have like the square NDs and then the square
that's what I
NDs can
got.
get very expensive.
Yeah,
Like the Nisi has like this variable ND matte box that's very cost effective and very good. But then you also deal with the problem of step up rings because some matte boxes have those screw on rings in the front, and then you would clip on the matte box in the front. Now the matte box could come with rails or the 15 mil like rail clamps, and that's a way to get around that. But that only works for prime lenses. If you have a
yeah.
zoom lens that
I
like comes out, then you can just say goodbye to that. Which that's another problem. But for the most part, I would probably go uh the rail clamp matte box route if I had like a cine lens that was like I don't know, like an 18 or like 70 or something
yeah,
where and it didn't zoom out. But unfortunately, I don't have that. A lot of the stills lenses that I have that are focused by wire and not manual focus that zoom in and out, they like physically come in and out. They don't like zoom in and out internally. So,
yeah, yeah.
I'm just crap
That
out of luck.
Yeah, and what you said about like having fun and practicing the camera, that's what I dealt with a lot. Is like that's one thing I noticed with the FX6 V and D. Like if I rent a lens or try some, I just grab it. It's like there. It's just simple. I don't have to
Literally.
find parts,
Yep.
pieces, put it together.
Yep.
That's huge to like gain experience in your learning curve to
Yep.
your camera or a technique, and just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, being able to grab it, ease of use, and it's kind of ready to go. The Matte Box, yeah, I have the Polar Pro Base Camp. I think they have like second version now. I had the first gen. I remember pre-ordering that when it came out, because that was the cheapest matte box you could get at the time. I was freaking out. I was like, oh, $800? That's amazing. But yeah, I don't use it as much anymore, and I find myself going back to just thread on NDs, even if they are a lower quality or cheaper, you know, brand or glass. I find myself using them for the simplicity, but having with the FX6, I don't need it that often with the built-in ND. And once you introduce rails, though, I'm always like, it was the Blackmagic 4K that ruined that for me. I just once you add rails to a rig, it starts getting messy. But yeah, so I think that's all there is to say about NAB. Nothing else to add.
All right. No, man. That's all.
All right. Well, thank you for talking to me about this, Josh. I'm sure
No problem. Thanks for inviting me, man.
Oh, there's so much more to talk about. I'm sure we'll talk again. So thank you guys for anybody watching or listening to this, and we'll see you in the next one.